company in the US who's exporting to Germany or vice versa. A German company wants to do business in the US.
Yeah, I mean, for the
Always-
government, for military, I did contracting, so I definitely could help there, but it's
Okay.
breaking into their work visas and all their processes as
Yeah,
well. That's
it's a whole
interesting.
bunch of stuff.
Yep.
I hear you. Who wants to try out their elevator pitch for our next speaker? Who hasn't done one yet? Who has one written? Who's game? Come on.
That sounds intimidating.
Uh, who is
Hey,
that, Joel?
Cody. Hey, how are you?
There he is. What's up, Joel? We practice elevator pitches with everyone, and I like when I get a couple volunteers to put their hand up and let you critique them. We
Nice.
call them voluntold. So that's what I do. If no one raises their hand, I start picking. Who's it? Let me have some of the cyber IT guys who haven't done one yet. Who's game? We'll get started in a few minutes. Joel, we're just waiting for what time is it? Or 2 minutes. Just waiting for everyone to come back from lunch. What about you, Eric? Ali Bangang. Bang. How do you pronounce your last name? Ali Bang. I got that right? Wait, put your mic on.
It's Ali Bang Bang Jordy.
I like that. That's a cool last name. What do you say? You
Actually,
got your elevator pitch ready to go?
no, I don't have it yet.
Come on, you got to get going on that. Get cranking.
Not yet.
Mm. What about you, Taylor Kaufman?
No, not yet.
That's both you guys, anyone who doesn't have it done, that's your assignment tonight, all right? Because you never know when someone's going to ask you, what do you want to do?
Hey, Jordy.
Yeah,
I got paired up with my ACP mentor, and this morning was our first meeting,
nice.
and that's actually one of his assignments, like for me.
Oh, good. That was one of their, that's
Yeah.
cool. And I think Joel is involved with ACP, right? So
Yeah, I still am. I
oh,
do.
that's great.
I try to have at least one mentee
Sure.
going.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's such a good organization.
Yeah.
Tyke, did you have your hand up?
Oh no, I was just clapping.
Oh, okay.
I also do ACP.
Yeah.
It's a great organization.
Standing. All right, why don't we get cranking? If everyone can throw your cameras on. Welcome back from lunch. Hope you had a good break. I am so excited for this session. We were able to, through a mutual friend, Steve Morante, encourage one of the top executives in cybersecurity in our country to come spend a little time with you guys, share his story, and give you a chance to learn about his experiences, hear some advice from him, and ask questions as well. So this is Joel Molinoff. He is the top cyber executive at Voyant, which is a national leader in cybersecurity. He's been working in this space for 25 years. Probably one of the originals in cybersecurity. I don't know when the industry would have started, but hey, it was the internet. I don't know, 90 or something. But just extremely accomplished cyber tech. He works out of New York City. He's been with Voyant for 6 years now. He's the global head of third-party risk products and services. He's an advisory board member at ACP, like he just mentioned. He worked at CBS Corporation in New York at the headquarters as their top chief information risk officer and CISO. Worked with the FCC, NSA, the White House, and just absolutely honored, Joel, that you were able to carve out some time today. We truly appreciate you for coming on and spending time with all the transitioning vets who are getting ready for their next chapter.
Absolutely. Wow. I don't know how to live up to that introduction. Well, thank you, Jordy. And it's yeah, it's a real honor to be able to talk to you all. I don't know if you can notice my voice is a little thin. I'm getting over being a little sick, so apologies for that up front.
I'm sorry to hear that.
No,
Tell everyone a little bit about you know your careers, getting started, what made you head down this path, and I mean, you've worked at so many unique places, and what was it like when you first launched?
Yeah, definitely happy to go through it. So I took a pretty circuitous route to get to where I am today, and I've had several careers, which I'll talk you through a little bit. So when I started out of undergrad, I had this idea in my head that I wanted to be an investment banker, and so didn't even really know what that meant, but lived in this bubble outside New York City, and just thought, all right, that's what I got to do. So I pursued that, and I worked as an analyst, and this is kind of a traditional model to get to investment banking. So I worked as an analyst, and I went back to graduate school, to business school, and then went back into investment banking and worked for some big organizations like JP Morgan and GE Capital, but really wasn't fulfilled by it, and realized at that point in my career, like, okay, there's got to be something else out there. And then 9/11 happened. And I immediately sent my resume to the NSA, thinking there's got to be they have to be able to put me to use in some way. And really didn't know much about it, didn't really have a deep tech background, but was interested in technology and had gravitated towards investing in tech companies while I was on the banking side. And surprisingly to me, they reached out a few months later, and there was a transformation going on at NSA where they wanted more people with business acumen and experience in the agency to help transform it to really deal with the internet and deal with the way technology was changing. So I lived in New York at the time, and my wife and I made the decision to pick up and move down to the DC area. And so that's how I got into government work and spent about 10 years at the NSA after 9/11. And then from there, I did a tour at the White House, as Jordy mentioned, and felt like, okay, I kind of want to get back into the game. And this thing called cybersecurity and information security was really taking off. And I started looking around, and that's when I ended up at CBS Corp back in New York to be their chief information security officer. So moved back to New York at that time, and that was kind of crazy. They had never had a CISO before. I was their first. I had never been a CISO before, and I somehow convinced them that I could do this job that they didn't really know what the job was. So that kind of worked out in a way. And the industry and the security and everything just evolved so quickly during the time that I was there. I got to do security. I got to run security for 3 Super Bowls, which was insane, and also do lots of other content security and security operations, protecting CBS and its shows and its assets over the years. And then there was a change of control, and they merged. CBS ended up merging with Viacom, and it was very complicated. And I basically said, okay, I'm good. I've had enough, and wanted to get into like the operations of security for a tech company because I hadn't done that. And that's when I came across Voyant and joined kind of in a strategic role, and then took on leadership for one of Voyant's lines of business, which is third-party risk management. And what we do is we provide information security support to global companies as well as governments. And that's what I've been doing for the last several years is leading that line of business.
That is awesome. What do you how would you describe sort of the differences between some of those jobs that you've had, like working for government agencies versus big media company like CBS, and now a cyber specific company? We have probably about 40% of the folks on the call and the ones watching the live stream are interested in tech and cyber because it's such a
Sure.
appealing field for so many. So talk a little bit about what they can expect depending on which path they might choose to go down.
Yeah, I think for a lot of my career, for whatever reason, I gravitated towards big organizations and trying to be entrepreneurial and not get sucked into the bureaucracy, but trying to be entrepreneurial within those big organizations. And what I've found is that whether you're inside the government or in the corporate space, that big organizations are very similar. That like GE, massive place, NSA, massive place. And I think everybody always thinks that the other side is more is better and it's so bureaucratic here where I am. But I think that there are these large corporate tendencies that permeate both sides of the public-private space. I think when you start getting into smaller companies, like Blue Voyant we still run like a startup. I know we've been around for several years, but we're about 800 people now. But it's still very fast moving, and you have to have a special kind of constitution to work at a place like Blue Voyant and other startups. It takes a lot of adaptability, and you really have to be willing to change and do things differently and adapt to the market and adapt to the environment. So I think to me that's one of the big distinctions is like big organizations, there's a little more room to be a little more, I guess, I don't know, like you sort of get used to the rhythm of a big organization. And I find that the smaller organizations is less so a rhythm, and more you're at the mercy of, you got to hit sales, you got to stay competitive, you have to keep changing, you have to change your products, you have to change everything constantly in order to keep moving.
Yeah, that's good. You've evaluated, I'm sure, hundreds of techies over the years or people in this industry. Excuse me. What are some of your favorite suggestions for, excuse me, for the job seekers here as they get ready to set out and meet with all these hiring managers across the country? What are some of your favorite tips or suggestions for them so they can really stand out, really impress? They all have this incredible military background behind them, and
Yeah.
and now they're heading off into this new environment.
I think the one of the critical things is being able to translate your experiences and your expertise into the language of the companies and the industries that you're interested in. And I know that's at the core of organizations like this, and I know that's at the core of ACP, but like at a micro level, like for yourself. And I still have this conversation with people I mentor who are coming out of the military. Like, look at what you've done and be able to describe it for what it is, but then be able to describe it in terms that the people you're talking to will understand. Because a lot of the people you're going to talk to on the corporate side don't have military experience, don't have government experience. So they don't know what it means to oversee a team of 400 for logistics. Like that just doesn't really translate. Like they probably don't have any sense of what you did. And it may seem obvious to you coming from where you are, right? And some people may look at that and be like, what do you mean you manage 400 people? That's crazy. Like, I don't even, that can't be right, right? Or they'll just be like, oh, that's some government thing. And I think you really need to understand who your audience is and who you're talking to when you're trying to get a role at a corporate organization.
Great
And
advice.
and I
Go
would,
ahead.
yeah, that would be one critical thing. And and network. I know this isn't exactly what you were asking, Jordy, but I think it's critical to be able to have a conversation with someone and not feel the pressure of necessarily them offering you a job or an interview, but it's a learning experience. And I think if you can approach that for every one of these conversations and say, look, I'm trying to better understand what you do. I think I'd be a good fit, whatever your elevator pitch is, right? But then at the end of it, always ask for another name. Say, hey, do you
Yeah.
have anyone else in your network who you think I could just pick their brain and ask them out what they do? Because I'm really interested in these things. I think always getting one more name out of a conversation, even in a job interview, I think is pretty useful. And no one's going to fault you for saying, hey, look, I'm an obsessive networker. I'm just trying to learn everything I can. I know we just had a conversation about a job at your company, but can you think of anyone else I could just reach out to, or you could put me in touch with, just so I could learn from them too? Like
Yeah, I
that.
like that. I like that. That's great. We have a few folks on the call who wanted to ask you a question. So I'm going to
Of
first
course.
go to Andrew White.
Hi, how's it going, Joel?
Good, good.
Hi, so I saw that you worked at the NSA Commercial Solutions Center. I actually just came from there. I was with the CNMF, if you're familiar, like Cybercom.
Okay.
And I was wondering what the Commercial Solutions Center is. I've actually never heard about that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really go into it, but and I'm not sure that it exists in the same way that it did. But yeah, I mean, I was doing a mix of signals intelligence and cybersecurity work through there. So interacting with companies, governments, and others to just further the mission there.
That's really cool. So I know that it's kind of like a different side, right? Sometimes offensive versus defensive. So how did you leverage that to go into your next position at on a defensive cybersecurity kind of thing?
It's a great question. Yeah, because I was primarily focused on signals intelligence. And so one thing I did, I really got interested in the cybersecurity space and the information security space, which at the time was really new and growing quickly though. And I just became obsessed with the tech and tried to take every SANS course I could because NSA was paying for it, and tried to do every bit of online learning I could, and like a Cisco networking class, whatever it was, because I really want to understand. I knew that I couldn't be in cybersecurity if I didn't know anything about tech. So that was my approach. So in addition to my day job, I was spending a lot of time just on self-education. And then I had the benefit of being around super smart people at NSA who were willing to answer other questions for me and help me get smarter on that stuff.
That's
Great question,
awesome.
man.
So would you recommend for people to like, I don't know, maybe follow some kind of like hacker news or like cybersecurity news just to stay up on things for if they're looking to go into that field?
100%. Yeah. Immerse yourself in it. It moves so quickly and it changes so quickly. Like there's now a whole new industry of AI security because of all of the AI stuff that's come out and is obviously the topic of the day. So like stay current with different modes of attacks and different security products and services and all that. And yeah, I would say absolutely stay on top of that if you want to get into this industry.
Thank you, Andrew. Great question. Joel, what sort of commitment did that require from you? Here you're working a full-time job and you say, I want to go down this completely different, I want to pivot and do something never done before. How many hours like a week were you working? How did you stay focused? How did you?
Yeah, I mean, I was working a full week, and
Yeah.
this was just after hours stuff. It was just something I was really interested in, so that certainly
That
helped.
helped because
Yeah,
you had that passion. You knew
yeah,
once you started with that, did you know, hey, the investment banking thing is not for me. I want
yeah,
this
yeah,
is the better path.
yeah,
And
definitely.
you dialed it
Yep.
in. That's great. John, you got a question for Joel?
Hey, Joel. Thanks for coming to speak to us today. This is going to be kind of an in-depth question, so if it gets too in the weeds, let me know. But I was looking at your LinkedIn real quick, and your CBS time as a CISO like overlapped the 2014 time when North Korea basically hacked Sony Pictures. So I'd kind of love to get your perspective, like as a CISO, like behind the curtain of like how did you guys react, as an industry, realizing like, oh crap, like we are now vulnerable to like a nation state threat.
Yeah, that is an awesome question. And I would say the bumper sticker answer is the company and the industry completely freaked out. Like it was a it was a sea change for a lot of the industry players around security and technology because the entertainment industry historically is not a tech savvy. I know it doesn't seem that way in some ways, but in terms of operations and how they manage getting shows on the air and what technology they use, it really was very old school. And when that attack happened, and like the board members and the leadership team at CBS saw their names in emails that were being disclosed and published and saw like deal terms that they were working on and that they just assumed were private and were things that were pretty embarrassing to them. It was a really big wake up call. And to credit the guys at the CBS leadership, they they had me reporting to the chief operating officer of the company. So not to the CIO or the CTO. And if you have any sense of information security and the way the industry has evolved, that's kind of rare. Most people would put information security under tech or under IT. And a lot of people in information security argue it's not an IT problem, it's a business problem. And I would still argue that. And it's evolved where security leaders are more connected to the CEO of a company generally and are given, there's more of an appreciation of the risks. But back then that was pretty novel for them to say, okay, we're going to have a CISO. We've never had one, and we're going to have him report to the chief operating officer because it's that important. And then Sony happened, which made them feel validated for wanting to do that. But yeah, it was an interesting time in the entertainment space when that happened.
I guess I just have one quick follow-up.
Sure.
What's like one lesson that you learned from that experience that still applies today and that you're willing to share with us?
Focus on the fundamentals and practice those fundamentals from a security perspective. Like, patch vulnerabilities and keep software up to date. And it sounds so stupid. And people in IT and security preach this a lot, but that's really one of the basic things is just pay attention to those fundamentals. Because even especially now with the automation of scanning and looking for vulnerabilities and holes in networks externally, just becoming so much easier. Like they're just looking for a way in, and they're just looking for that piece of software that hasn't been updated. And the time from a 0-day or some type of vulnerability being disclosed and it being turned into a POC for a piece of malware has compressed significantly. So it is a race against time when there is a 0-day. And if you're patching your vulnerabilities on a regular cadence as fast as you can, if you are practicing defense in depth and you're segmenting your networks and you have zero trust, like all these types of fundamental things, if you do that, you're putting yourself ahead of a lot of other folks out there.
Really appreciate that perspective. Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks,
sure.
John. Good job. Isaiah Savage.
Hey, Joel, thank you again for coming. I really appreciate the time, and it's not often we get to talk to someone with your experience and your expertise in the field rather than reaching out to hundreds of people trying to get to that level. But my question for you is maybe with you talking about working for bigger companies. I also have that same mindset. I really would like to work for a bigger company rather than a smaller one. But with that, what I've seen with a bunch of problems or I guess road barriers I've seen is people getting into that and trying to get past that initial interview phase where I just in this call we have probably 40% as Jordy mentioned interested in cybersecurity, and most of us probably have the same credentials with like certifications and maybe degree plans. How do we how would you recommend us trying to be a step ahead in trying to get to that initial interview process when we actually talk to someone face to face, rather than that get automatically getting checked out from all those applications or just setting ourselves apart from another?
Yeah, it's tough. I think having the credentials and the certifications is probably pretty important. I think I say this without really having an appreciation for what stage of career you all are at, and I'm sure it's at different stages, but doing some kind of internship is always good, and getting some kind of it can be short. You can come up with a project idea. You can do something to get yourself noticed or in with some of these employers or some of the individuals. I think that's one way, but it's hard. It's hard getting to the top of the pile, and it comes back to networking. So the more you can network and the more you can get yourself known and have conversations with people at different target organizations, I think the better off you'll be.
Good question. Michael Kelly.
For this opportunity to speak to a giant in the industry. So one thing I was curious is looking back at your history, there seemed to be a shift that happened while you were at Georgetown, teaching there, that from some of the places you were at before to picking up an adjunct position at Georgetown, till just after a year after that. And there was this shift, at least in what's presented in your career history, that something launched you into that. And the reason why I asked that is like some of us to go a different route than the previous question. Like some of us are retiring from the military, and we don't have the credentials, but we have experience.
Yeah.
And that is a real challenge to really balance, because like I can sit down and I can do a Zoom and share my screen and show you how I can manage networks and how I can protect systems, whether it's examples of what I did in the military or it's more complex and what needs to be home labs to show like, yeah, the stuff that you're asking for on a job description, I don't have the Cisco credentials. I don't have name your 3 letters that you need, but I know how to do that. And maybe I'm self-taught, but and I think that that's a growing thing, because we saw a trend moving away from degrees to certificates, and now there's a growing, albeit not mainstream, where that experience is valued more than the ability to pass a test. But the glass ceiling is that getting seen and being able to demonstrate. And so that's why I noticed, and maybe there's not as much as what I read into, but it seemed like there was a pivot that you made at Georgetown that kind of I'm seeing relates to some of us getting out of the military.
Yeah. It's a good observation. I think experience and know-how, like technical chops, will always serve you better than a credential if you can get the opportunity to show that to your potential employer that you can do it and that you have that background, that'll take you far. And I'll give you an example at CBS. When we hired analysts and we hired people who we needed to do threat intelligence and malware reverse engineering and analysis, there were a handful of people on that team who had no degrees, were self-taught, and were friggin' brilliant. And like, I didn't care, right? I really didn't care. And I'm not alone out there as being some outlier who says, oh, I don't care about degrees. Like, there are people out there who really won't care, but it becomes a question of how do you get the opportunity to communicate to them and to show them your expertise. Because I think there's still a lot of demand for cybersecurity and tech people out there. It's just a matter of matching to those companies that are looking for that.
Yeah, good question, Michael. Thank you for that. Joel, can you talk to everyone else on the call, maybe who's not interested in tech or cyber?
Yeah.
I mean, you've worked alongside C-level executives in some of the best companies and the brightest people out there. What are some of the common character traits that you see in these high-performing executives? What allows them to skyrocket with their careers, and what are some of the lessons that the folks here on the call can learn from that?
I think being able to communicate ideas is a common thread. I think you see people who have come up, and I'll just say tech, though it's not just tech, who come up through tech and become broader leaders. And then you see it in other industry verticals and other domains that you need to be able to distill ideas down to their essence and communicate them well. And that may sound trite or obvious, but it's not. And when I see leaders and people who I respect and people who manage well, like they know how to think about problems and communicate them.
That's good. That's great. What you mentioned earlier that AI obviously is exploding in the world of cyber. Why do you like that for a path for folks who might be, making a pivot now into tech? Could that be a good one for them to explore? Are there other ones that you would recommend for the people who are just looking for their first job in tech or first job in cyber?
Yeah, I would actually flip it around a little bit, Jordy, and I would say if you want to go into tech or if you want to go into cyber and you are not becoming the smartest person you can possibly be about AI, then you're doing yourself a disservice, because it's not just hype. Yes, there's a lot of hype around it, but the language of business and the language of tech and the approach is changing right in front of us. And I think in order to be competitive with other candidates and in order to go where the business is going, whatever business that is, being super smart about large language models, whatever it is, agentic AI, all of these buzzwords, knowing what they mean and how companies can apply that and use it, I think it's absolutely necessary for you all.
It's why the train has left the station. You
It has.
can't
It
avoid
has.
that. Yeah.
And I'm behind, frankly,
Yeah.
like way behind. And but people around me are not, and our company is not. And I see where it's going, and I see the importance of it as a concept for how business is going to be done.
Yeah. Can you tell everyone a little bit about sort of like a day in the life of, say, an entry level tech at Blue Voyant? Like what does that person do, and what's that job like for them?
Yeah, I mean, we're set up like a traditional software company. So we have a product organization, we have an engineering organization, we have sales engineering, we have a whole bunch of cyber analysts that focus on different aspects of cybersecurity, depending on what product they're connected to and what they do. So the day in the life can be a lot of different things. And so if you think about an analyst, a threat intel analyst, or an analyst on my team who looks at third parties. So we look at vendors and we monitor vendors externally on behalf of our clients, and we escalate critical findings that we see in those vendor ecosystems to our clients. So, and then we help those vendors fix those issues that we've identified. So our analysts are pouring through data. Speaking of AI, we have a lot of stuff that's automated, machine learning that does a first cut, and then our analysts will look at it and look at those critical findings that have been identified, and then raise those up to our clients and explain them to them, and then go to the vendors and explain them to them and make sure that they're fixed. So that's one aspect of it. If you're on a product team, you're constantly looking at the platform or the software itself. You're working with clients. You're talking about the product roadmap. You're talking about things that we're doing to improve our clients' ability to use the product. So, like, I mean, I can go around the whole organization. There's lots of different days in the life for folks at a company like ours.
Would you recommend, let's say somebody wants to get into a tech firm, they're just getting started on their tech skills though. Do you recommend the sales route for some people? Can that be an easier way to get your foot in the door?
I think so. I think sales engineering is a good way to do that, because as a sales engineer, for those of you who don't know, or you may all know this, you're supporting the sales and the implementation of whatever product your company is selling, and which means that you get to know the platform itself and the tech really well. And so you are doing demos, you're doing proofs of concept for those clients. You're answering lots of questions about, in our case, about the threat intel and the analysis we do, and the product itself. So it's pretty tech heavy, and you have to really get to know the products, but you're not the person who's writing code, and you're not the person who is doing the engineering. So I think it is a nice way in, and it helps you get in front of clients. It helps you build those muscles where you have to pitch things and talk about things, and get a little more tech experience at the same time.
Yeah, that's great. Joel, this was so awesome, man. Thank you so much. We
Absolutely.
truly appreciate it. It's so awesome to hear from folks who at your level have so many different experiences, and just to be able to share some of that wisdom with all these incredible men and women who are just getting ready to start their path. So we appreciate you greatly for doing this.
Absolutely. I still want to hear that elevator pitch from somebody.
Yeah, come on, someone who wants to
Somebody.
somebody's gonna do it. Who's gonna step up? I'm gonna have Michael Kelly if no one else will, because I know he will. You ready to go, Michael? You got yours.
Well, I don't have it pulled up, but I'm just as ready
You
as
can
I'll
wing
be.
it.
Hey, man, if you want, I'll do it.
Who's that? Who said that?
Hold on one sec. I got you.
Ah, there we go, Kenneth. I love it.
What's going
How
on? How y'all doing today?
Yeah. Go get him.
All right. One sec. How you doing today, Joel, first?
Excellent. Thank you.
All right. You ready for it?
Let's go.
All right. Here we go. Hi, I'm Kenneth Frey, a seasoned IT and cybersecurity leader with 20 years of experience managing enterprise infrastructure and secure operations. I've led high-performing teams of over 100 personnel, driven multi-million-dollar technical transformations, and built scalable systems that align IT with mission-critical goals. As a cyber professional, I've operated in some of the highest roles, communicating with senior executives to drive change, and have succeeded in each role. I currently hold a bachelor's degree in cybersecurity, a master's in enterprise network management, SEC+, PMP, and a CISP, and also have a TS clearance. Well, there's optimizing operations or strengthening cyber resilience. I bring a strategic mindset backed by real world results. That's what I got.
I like it. Now, what's the audience for that, and how do you use that in real life?
So when I'm using it in real life, a lot of times what I've noticed is I never even make it past, let's say, the second line. Usually what happened is I'll get through to the 20 years of experience along with the enterprise infrastructure and secure operations. And then we roll into how many people I've led. And then once I hit, the degrees and the certifications, it's normally a stopping point. and then me and the person that I'm talking to actually start talking about how I could fit in their organization. So I'm looking to be a IT manager, director, senior level, just being in the role for the last, doing at least the executive side of the house for the last 7 years. So that's where I'd like to come out as. Right now, I'm kind of targeting those IT manager roles, some of the director roles, those type of things right now.
That's great. So my only feedback is, so if you're going through that with someone in an interview, is that usually it's part of a conversation?
Yeah. So normally I'm one of those guys, I don't really wing it. But I know my key points of what I'm going to talk about. And then I'll kind of pause right when I get to the point where I see them go, and I'll pause and step back. And then the conversation starts to go back and forth.
Got it. That makes sense. Yeah. So my only feedback would be, and this is probably, you're doing it this way because of the setup that we have here, would be make it conversational so you're not just reading it.
Got it. Too easy.
And yeah, and I would make that recommendation to all of you that write out what you want to say, just like you had, Kenneth or Ken, but then go through it 100 times where you can just say it. And it took him probably a minute in total to say that. So you should be able to have 3 or 4 bullets to remind yourself, if you're nervous, of the points to cover. But you guys should memorize your bumper sticker, because it's just who you are, right? Like I could rattle off mine right now and have nothing in front of me. And I'm just saying, like, it takes a while to get to that point, but you should force yourselves to do that so that it's comfortable.
Can we hear what you say, Joel?
You guys heard it. So sure. So I'm currently the global lead for third-party risk management at Voyant. I've been with the company for over 4 years, and I joined here after spending a number of years as the Chief Information Security Officer and Chief Information Risk Officer at CBS Corp in New York. That's where I'm from. I was CBS's first CISO and spent a lot of time with them building out that program, not just for third-party risk, but our Security Operations Center and all the other aspects of an information security program. As I said earlier to you guys, my career has kind of taken a circuitous route to get to where I am. Prior to CBS, I worked at the NSA and the White House for almost a decade. And before that, I spent a whole other career in investment banking, which I can tell you about if you're interested. So that's sort of like a very quick resume look, right? And then I can adjust and doctor that depending on who I'm talking to and what I know their level of interest is.
That's awesome. Kenneth, great job, man. That was awesome.
That was awesome.
Yeah, my only advice would be just slow down a little. That was all. Like, you can see, because Joel has done his so many times, you know what I mean? It just was it sounded a little bit more natural. But the more you get, the more reps you get in, the more comfortable you'll be with that, and just slow down the speech. But outstanding.
And remember,
that's crazy. It's crazy. I'm from South Carolina, so we talk kind of fast.
And remember, guys, it's a conversation. When you guys are doing your elevator pitch, it's a conversation you're trying to start. So if you find yourself going fast and reading, just adjust, slow down, take a pause. It's a conversation.
Yeah. I like how you said too, Joel, that there are different audiences, right? He might be talking to a hiring manager one time, another person, somebody he met out at our coffee shop, and it's, you got to adapt that. And the only way to get good at that is just keep banging them out. So
yeah.
Joel, thank you, buddy, man. We appreciate you so much. This was awesome.
Thank you all. Feel free to reach out anytime, guys.
You got it.
All right.
Take care.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
You got it. All right. We'll take 20 minutes, guys. And we